a better Nigeria? Is it a myth or do you keep hoping?
Nigeria is a highly religious country. How come corruption thrives?
Why is adoption not encouraged in Nigeria?
Is there a future for the Nigerian youth?
Being rich and famous, is that the only drive to be an artist?
What makes a great nation? Is it the leaders? What about the people?
This is Answers with Dr. Redru. Hi, my name is Onari, and this is Answers with Dr. Redru, where critical life issues are clarified. Last week on the program, we started a journey into the world of governance. We took a crucial look at what a society comprises of. We discussed on the political, the economic, and religious systems of society, identifying that these three pillars are the crux of what a right functioning society should consist of. On this journey, we will stop at every corner to give clarity, leaving no stone unturned. So, we encourage you, the listener, to join in on the discussions on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I have in the studio this evening, Obi Brown.
Hi, thank you.
Adam Slojok.
Hi.
And our resource person, Dr. Redru.
Thanks, Onari.
Good evening, everyone. Now, I'm going to hand this over to Adams. Adams, please start with your questions.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Redru, last week you said society creates for itself a foundation or a bedrock for which it runs upon in order not to spin out of control. Can you just shed more light on that? What is responsible for that foundation, that bedrock?
Okay, thanks. Society evolves, and in that evolution, the evolution throws up challenges, and the challenges create those systems so that society won't spin out of control. So when society gets to a particular point, it now becomes necessary for us to define how we are going to be living together. If it's just a family, it might just be okay. But the moment we start growing and, with growth comes challenges. And challenges creates opportunities for us to become better structured, better organized. So those systems actually, they come out of societal evolution. So it gets to the point where, businesses can no longer just be done by verbal, just saying, I'm going to supply this tomorrow. It's no longer adequate because society has become more complex. So those systems are direct results of the evolution of society. Not that people just stand up and say we want to have a political system, we want to have an economic system, we want to have a religious system. So it is the evolution. It's like when you have a city, it might be a village. Maybe at first you don't need any means of transportation, but as the village increases in size, more people come, maybe give birth to more children, and people live further from each other. You might need a bicycle for me to move from one point to another. After a while the bicycle becomes inadequate. You need a car. After a while you might need to fly. So you don't start a society and you start an airline. So it is the evolution of society that naturally gives birth, makes those systems necessary. For us to continue to live, we need to structure some things. Businesses can't just spring up. We need to create places now where some kind of buildings can be there. So it's a response to growth, to that evolution. It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. I listened again to what you said last week. Talking about the religious system, one of the pillars on which society rests. And you said the religious system, it talks about the values we share, the things we hold as sacrosanct, sacred.
Yeah.
And then I asked myself the question, what values do we as Nigerians share?
I call it a sobering question because my simple answer to that is that we don't have, which is very unfortunate. And it's a direct result of what I said last week about Nigeria not being a society that evolved, but it's a construct. And over the years, we've not come to accept that reality and then adjust appropriately, respond to the challenges that a society that is constructed poses. Because when you say values don't have opposites. Okay. That is, values are inherently positive. Somebody said that rather than building prisons, right, create an atmosphere that develop values. Because a valueless society, you will have to invest a lot in building prisons, because it's a recipe for anarchy. Now, having said that, we cannot say that there is nothing that distinguishes Nigerians, but unfortunately they are all negative. I want to make reference to, without due respect to the late sage, Chief Obafemi Awolowo, when he said that Nigeria is not a nation, but just a geographical expression. He said that, and rightly so. Rightly so, in the sense that he literally interpreted the word nation into his native language, which is Yoruba. The word nation in Yoruba basically is Orile-ede. That is, a people of the same language. That's what it means literally. But you see, like I said, with all due respect to him, he said that Nigeria is not a nation because we have different languages. But the language goes beyond the spoken language. Language goes down to what we speak, to our practices, to our culture. Remember the example I gave last week about the guy with the umbrella who won't come to... So, because we have different cultural backgrounds in Nigeria, it has made it impossible for us to have any distinguishing value that separates us, that makes Nigerians stand out. So when you talk about value, it's not really what we believe of ourselves, but what people have come to see that we are, that people live out. That anywhere you meet a Nigerian, there is a way they conduct themselves. I had a very terrible experience in South Africa. I went there for a conference and I was checked into a room, and it's shared accommodation. And there was this guy that we had to share the same room. When the guy heard that I was Nigerian, he moved out. He moved out. Eventually, another guy came, a South African, who decided to now share the room with me. And he told me that this is the closest he has ever been to a Nigerian since he was born. Because it was a Nigerian who actually sent his dad to jail. That they did some business together. So that's what Nigeria reminds him of. So it doesn't matter what we say we are. It doesn't matter when you say that we are inherently good people. It is not what we say about ourselves that defines our values. It's how we have been able to live it for others to observe it. So what unites Nigerians is the fact that we're crooked people. We're very disorganized. Even Nigerians themselves, you travel from overseas in an airport where everything is. The Nigerian who will obey, who will queue up in an airport in maybe the United Kingdom or United States, we get to our airport either in Abuja or in Lagos, and it's chaos. We don't obey traffic rules. So what unites Nigerians is chaos, is disorderliness, is a culture of impunity. When you see a policeman, you are afraid rather than feeling secured. So that's the reality. We can deny that all we want. Nigerians don't have values, and the reason is there are no Nigerians in Nigeria. That's our problem. We've not had leaders who are visionary enough to be able to create a Nigerian or create a Nigeria. There's no Nigeria. We just have Hausas, Igbos, we have regions, but that shouldn't be a problem. That shouldn't be a problem. I always keep going back. United States is a cocktail of... United States is the country of immigrants. But it is the United States, right? So we can have united, tribes of Nigeria. UTA, UTL, UTN, United Tribes of Nigeria. But it takes a visionary leader, selfless, somebody who is not there for himself, who can identify, as diverse as we are. It takes a cursory look to be taken for that person to see that there's actually something there that unites us. There's something that we share. I'll give you an example that might seem very, very simple, elementary, maybe funny, or you might just gloss over. If I have the opportunity to advise a Nigerian president, I'll tell him, sell football to Nigerians. There will be no crisis in this country. If Nigerian Super Eagles continue winning, because that's a common interest. Yeah. That's a common interest. You can look down on that, but you can't deny the fact that it gives us pride. I still remember 1994 during the World Cup, as long as Nigeria was winning, nobody cares what happens to June 12th. When Nigeria lost to Italy, hell was let loose. We vented that anger on everybody. Nupeng went on strike. Everybody resumed the cry. It's as simple as that, because there is something that unites us. But it takes a visionary to be able to identify it. But our leaders are non-Nigerians. They either have a Hausa agenda, a Yoruba agenda, an Igbo agenda. That's why you have things like zoning.
Yeah.
It's childish. It's very childish. It's selfish. I think I'll just stop there because it's depressing me already.
Yeah, but what can we do about this? What can everybody listening to this program really begin to do to begin to promote a sense of value? Protect a sense of value. That's really my question.
We actually said something last week. I don't know if you guys remember. Those values are there, but we don't have leaders who can actually be sincere enough to make those values work. Because if those values are going to work, right, it's going to require those values being structured, have an effective structure that gives the value motion, that really gives it its true character of being sacred. And once you have that structure in place, the structure will naturally birth institutions. But the structure is nothing. Institution is nothing if there are no individuals. So you see, the challenge with Nigeria right now is human infrastructure. The primary challenge of Nigeria is not road. The reason you have a pothole on that road is human infrastructure. Over the years, we have neglected the conscious development of human infrastructure. Our educational system is broken down, right? In fact, the statistics is there that most Nigerian universities, their products need to be retrained before they can work in any blue chip company. They don't have the wherewithal. That statistics is gazetted, it's in the public square. I remember I said that to a faculty of a university, and they started criticizing that. I said, no, your university is how many years old? They said 4. I said, you can't even appraise your products yet. Right? If you take your products, if you check them in a corporate setting, maybe they are still supervisors or maybe senior. If it's in a bank, maybe it's a BO, a banking officer. It has not been put in a position of leadership, so you can't say your products are good. Having said all that, the reason I'm answering this question this way is that if we don't know the problem, if we have not been able to really put the problem in concrete terms and make it visible, because the problem with leadership is that it's not that they don't know the answers, but they don't have the question. They don't have the question. Because if you don't have a question, you can't begin to talk about answers. Good leaders know how to ask the right questions. So our challenge is human infrastructure. And if we are going to begin a process, right, of developing human infrastructure, we have to be, number one, be generational, right? But to be generational requires sacrifice. Is a long process. Like what we do in our school, little things like when you pick the admission form of our school, there's no state of origin there, because we don't want the Tunde that's in that school to see Chukuma or Hamisu as different from him, so that the only world they know growing up is the one that Tunde is not different from Hamisu. But that has to be done deliberately. It has to be done consciously. It must be structured. It must be institutionalized. Because if I have that and I still have a teacher there who is teaching these kids, who is already wired to see somebody who is not of his own tribe as other, then there's a problem. How do you know a defective society? It throws up wrong people for critical positions. It throws up wrong people for critical positions. I was sad this morning when I saw a program. I normally watch Sunrise on channels. They need to pay for this advert. There was this extrajudicial killing in Imo State. Edo State, thank you. And they were trying to interview the commissioner of police in Edo State. I am very sure, because this is on air, it got to a point the Art Commissioner of Police started pretending that he couldn't hear again. We could hear all the discussions. Because it's easy, because of a defective system. We were hearing everything the guy was saying, right? And these three guys and the brother of the deceased in the studio were trying to communicate with him. He kept quiet and he was talking to other people. Why is he able to? Number one, this is a dysfunctional police officer. Number two, he can easily say that MTN doesn't work. Because for MTN not to work, there is no repercussion. So it's a whole defective society. We can say that because we've had a good election in 2015, that the prophecy that it's going to be a failed nation, we have overcome it. My father will say that if you repeat a class, you are not static, you've gone back. Because those who are behind you has caught up with you. So it's human infrastructure. I don't want to call it human quality. The quality of humans today in Nigeria is worrisome.
Okay. There was something that was set up. I think the National Orientation Agency. It was set up to kind of bring about that nationality, if I can understand what national orientation in an authority.
Thank you so much for bringing that up. It further amplifies what I said. That's an institution. Noble, maybe well intended, because there's a value for us to promote nationhood, right? And we recognize that the citizens needs an orientation for them to have a national consciousness that birthed that institution.
I went to the website because I was having this worrisome thought, there's an agency set up to merge our cultures, merge our tribes. So I went to the website. And I'm sorry to say, I didn't find what I was looking for. Broad mission statement that had a story of, how it started and what it had become. If there's something I'm missing that is making me more worried, maybe they can point that, there's actually something, going on, so calm down. But unfortunately, I didn't find that story.
Yeah, and I keep saying that because when people who will listen to in Nigeria, they talk, they say Nigeria need to build strong institutions. Institutions are as strong and as effective as the people, the individuals that run it. Because the whole setup of NOA, the whole idea that set it up is noble. But you see, we have somebody there who is just there to collect allocation, because it was the same idea that birthed National Youth Service Corps. It was for national integration. But this started in 1973. Look at where it is today. Almost 90% of youth corps members, they serve where they want to serve. Why? It is not that the idea of NYSC has become obsolete. It is still needed, but individuals that run it, they've lost the vision. There is no passion to see that thing work. That was the same idea behind unity schools. Federal government colleges, so institutions are there. But when you don't develop individuals, when you don't build human infrastructure, those institutions are just, they're just white elephant projects. That's why you keep having committees upon committees, they journal reports and things like that. It's like having a well-branded AK-47 without bullets. Yeah.
Okay, this is Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified. Now we resume with Adams Lojok. Let's hear your question.
Okay, hearing you say the lack of human infrastructure is one of the problems we have, as...
In fact, it's the main problem.
Okay, it's the main problem.
Yeah. Because society is people.
Okay. And, of course, you explained institutions. Strong institutions is as good as the strong people, who
run institutions.
Yeah. But so how would you explain Adora Okunyili holding, the hem of NAFDAC? How would you explain Ribadu in EFCC? Was that a problem, so to say? Was that a problem? Weren't the performers holding those institutions?
When you say human infrastructure, and I think I've mentioned that before, it's a long process to build a very virile, quality human resource base. and it goes into education. But let me address, maybe use your example, a Dora Akunyili in NAFDAC, a Ribadu in EFCC, that in itself, that we have the likes of Dora and Ribadu once in a while, it's a problem. A functional society should be throwing up Ribadus in varying degrees, right, on a sustainable basis. Everywhere. In fact, if we have the likes of Ribadu 3 years ago, 5 years ago, EFCC today should have a Ribadu of a higher degree, right? If that society is functional, because a functional society gets better and better and better, so that if Ribadu himself comes back after 10 years to EFCC, he will need an orientation. So that's why you see those kind of people, they come once in a while, because we've not been able to build a human resource base, right, that throws up the best every time. And I take it to our educational system. Now, our educational system is structured in such a way that we place a very high value on formal education. A functional society will have in place education that is accessed everywhere. Society itself is educational. People get trained at every opportunity. But you see, you don't have that today. That's why everybody wants to go to school. Society is a school, from the home, to formal school, to vocational training. Because if you look at the education system in Nigeria today, it's paper oriented. And that's the reason you have a high level of exam malpractices. If I can't pass WAEC, if I can't go to the university, I'm done for. I cannot access economic opportunities. But we need to have an educational system that is broad-based. We need to have an educational system where people can aspire to the highest, depending on what they know to do best. Right? Because I remember growing up in this same country, we have technical schools, we have, but everybody now must pass JAMB. We have an educational system that is not broad-based. That is, to develop human infrastructure, we need to have that educational system that is broad-based, right?
Some time ago, I was reading about Steve Jobs, when he was a teenager. He picked up a book and wanted to build a certain electronic, something. I forgot what it was. And he saw that he needed some components. He saw who sells them and the price, and he picked up a phone and called the director or the owner of the facility to ask, do you have this? And the guy said, yes, I do. Come around and pick it, when you can. And when you have some time, come around for an internship. In other words, this guy was ready to just at a moment's notice put his time to train Steve Jobs, just to help him out. And I mean, right now in the US, you have lots of mentorship programs. It's everywhere.
That's why they are turning up Steve Jobs everywhere. So it's like that, because we always read these stories and we get excited, right? You say Steve Jobs is a school dropout, he's now this, Bill Gates didn't finish school, Mark Zuckerberg didn't finish school, but you just said something now. I don't know the age of Steve Jobs at this level, but you said he read a book, that is, he can read. Right?
Yeah.
Do we have a system in place where we can just encourage people to be able to read? Not certificate. Right? Steve Jobs could read. Right? There's a guy who just came out with a book. I'm planning to actually get that book. He just told the story of the Wright brothers who invented the airplane. That these guys, they were just bike repairers. They were repairing bikes, these two brothers. But said their father made sure they didn't have a high school certificate. Right? They were bike repairers, but their father made sure that they were able to read. Right? So people being able to read, that solves a lot of problems. Because if you can read, you can access information. You can process information. Right? But thank God that a lot of, primary schools today now who are actually, getting into phonics. But look at the public educational system. it's horrible. It's horrible. So it begins with an educational system that is really for the purpose of education, but not training people how to pass exams. Big difference. That is how you can have a pool of quality, humans, how you can deploy to places as and when needed. That's the beginning. We need to be generational about this. We need to be able to frame tomorrow. So education. But having said that, you can have sound educational policies too. Yeah. But it takes a visionary leader backed by a spirit of sacrifice. A value of integrity. Where you are a man of you are the same everywhere you find yourself. You are committed to a particular cause. You want to be able to put something in place that will outlive you. And I'll say this with all boldness. The current crop of politicians in Nigeria, they are directly responsible for the defective educational system. It is an agenda to actually, reduce the quality of humans in Nigeria so that nobody questions them. Because as you can see, we're already having their children go study abroad, come back, take positions, and all those. It's deliberate, and until the average citizen begins to actually do something on their own to begin to say that I am going to be different, I am going to invest in myself, in my children. So I think I'll stop there.
Yes. Thank you for preferring a way forward, so it wasn't just the looming and glooming start that we had. Obi Brown, it was wonderful having you in the studio.
Thanks,
Adam Slojok, Dr. Reju, thank you. Thank you so much. And we would like to take time out to acknowledge Mr. Olabisi, who called in last week after the program to say he had a fabulous time listening to Answers with Dr. Reju. Thank you, Mr. Olabisi. Keep it a date with us every Friday on Reading, 5 p.m. And to a host of others that kept the conversation going via WhatsApp, like Daniel Thomas and Okafor Kenechukwu. We appreciate all your feedbacks, and please, you're encouraged to continue, because on Answers with Dr. Reju, we don't know it all, but we can reason it out together. Give us a call or chat us on WhatsApp on 08144569000. Check out our website and interact with us on www.answerswithdrreju.com. Like our Facebook page, Answers with Dr. Reju, or send us an email at answerswithdrreju@gmail.com. On Twitter, we are @Dr. Reju Answers. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel, Answers with Dr. Reju, where you can get all our episodes. Join us again on Answers with Dr. Reju, where critical life issues are clarified.